Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Alexander Povetkin is reveling in the afterglow of his knockout win over Dillian Whyte, receiving a hero's welcome on return to Russia. So you can see here on screen Povetkin arriving at the airport and then being greeted with a coat and a hat and some music. And we'll just play a little bit of this with the sound so you can get a flavour of what's been going on. Povetkin getting the treatment there doesn't necessarily look overly enthused, but I guess after the flight, and obviously he's just been in a fight where he was dropped a couple of times, he's probably feeling it, being tired, all that sort of thing. But back in Russia, and he will prepare for a rematch at some point with Dillian Whyte. As we know, Whyte has requested it and said potentially, Eddie Hearn, can you please set it up for December? But here pictured with Andre Rybinsky, his promoter, and actually his promoter must have control of his Instagram or something, which is not completely unusual because this was on Povetkin's Instagram, but it says, with Sasha at the airport, already with the new WBC diamond belt, a big hello from us to my friend at WBC Morrow. But moving to the other side of the coin, Dillian Whyte reflecting in an interview with Sky Sports, and a quote here which was posted on the Matchroom Instagram and social media channels. He says, "I just got clocked. This is heavyweight boxing. The main thing is we have the rematch option. I'll go back to the gym and we'll do it again at the end of the year." So Dillian Whyte firmly looking for the rematch, and I've seen a little bit of criticism online from some fans who believe that there shouldn't have been a rematch clause. But there is, and this is the sort of thing that Dillian Whyte, as the holder of the interim title, and remembering this was effectively a voluntary defence of that belt, and even if it had have had nothing on the line, I'm sure Alexander Povetkin, he wouldn't have had a rematch, but Dillian Whyte was always going to have one. So that just kind of is what it is in terms of when you're the A side in the equation, if you can negotiate that into a contract, because it wasn't effectively any sort of eliminator or anything like that. I know some people have sort of said, well, the mandatory was on the line. But Whyte, he was putting it up, he negotiated a contract which had a rematch clause, and the WBC is going to honour that. But the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, in interviews has been very clear that the timeline, it changes now. The order that was in place previously for Dillian Whyte to get a title shot, all that sort of stuff is out the window. So he will fight, this is Whyte, Povetkin again, and we will see where things go in terms of timing, because the WBC hasn't really specified a what next. I guess things will probably just get pushed out, but it was looking pretty tight there to have a Wilder Fury 3 and then having a fight with Dillian Whyte early in 2021. So some of that pressure, it does come off. But Dillian Whyte, he'll have to go back, regroup, try to look at the tactics, what he did right, what he did wrong. I think he still boxed well in that fight, probably better than he has in other fights. There was definite improvement, but getting KO'd, obviously that wasn't part of the plan. And probably it's one of these things that he was maybe a bit too aggressive, but that seems to not line up with something Anthony Joshua has been saying to Dillian Whyte, which I'll get to soon, because Joshua was a little critical of the finishing instincts of Whyte, but we'll get to that in a moment. But Eddie Hearn, you can see here on screen, he's posted the most brutal sport of all. At Dillian Whyte will be back stronger. Congratulations, Alexander Povetkin. Huge respect to you both. #FightCamp. And I'm sure we will see this fight again, and potentially maybe it will be at the Matchroom venue. Maybe they'll sort of keep that up or bring it back or whatever they're looking to do. They had quite a bit of infrastructure in place there, so I'd imagine, they'd want to make the most of it. But we'll see what they do with that fight camp sort of setup, because in the end, it was quite a good venue for the fights. Just getting to Tyson Fury, he's weighed in again, speaking to BT Sport. So you may recall initially he said 40 and proud as a reaction to Povetkin winning, but now he's told BT Sport all these boxers, Joshua, Whyte, Chisora, Povetkin, all around the same level, they can take each other out. As for Whyte getting knocked out, regroup, back to the drawing board. It just shows what level they are at. Povetkin is 40 years old. And there could be a point there. I mean, I've said in my live stream immediately after the fight, there is a whole bunch of guys between about number 4 and number 10 that are there or thereabouts. They're that chasing pack. If anyone can separate themselves, it remains to be seen. But clearly, even the top guys, they are vulnerable too. Fury has been knocked down in his career a number of times, and also Anthony Joshua beaten by Andy Ruiz Jr. But getting to Joshua and his thoughts on Whyte's finishing instinct, he said, "I thought Dillian has lost that instinct. I believe if you see or smell a drop of blood, you have to take them out. If you leave it a round or two, you just don't know. If a man gets hope and a lifeline, he might just bounce back. If I see you hurt, I'm going to blitz you, and Dillian needs to get that mindset back. The last thing you lose is your power. Povetkin is a bit shaky on the legs, but the foundations these guys have, I don't think you can give them an inch of hope, or they will take an opportunity, and opportunity matched with power is knockouts. Certainly people will now be negative towards Dillian. I believe he's a great fighter. It's a blip in his career. 5 years from now, it will be part of the story. He will be able to look back and think it's a great lesson." Anthony Joshua's statements. So I guess the rub there was some of those comments. When he thought Andy Ruiz Jr. was hurt, he went in to blitz him and ultimately got taken out. Well, he got hurt badly and later taken out, dropped multiple times in that first fight, which caused him to fight differently in the rematch. So I guess some people will look at this and take it with a grain of salt and saying, Joshua, did that advice really work for you? But we have seen in the past that when he got Povetkin hurt, he made the most of the opportunity to finish him off. But obviously going in there recklessly, just trying to finish someone off, that can backfire. Joshua knows that firsthand. And my thoughts on Whyte getting a couple of knockdowns against Povetkin, I didn't think Povetkin was terribly hurt. The first one, it looked more like a flash knockdown, and the second one, he didn't look terribly hurt, but obviously it started to look like Dillian Whyte was going one way, going to get the win. He got comfortable and taken out. And I'm sure perhaps for the rematch, there is going to be a bit more of a safety-first approach. Try to just sap Alexander Povetkin a bit more, take a bit more energy out of those legs, and make sure there's not as much snap on those punches, because he got comfortable and he got clipped in this fight. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.